Hey guys, Addict Cyclist here with a comparison video of a aero helmet versus an all-arounder slash lightweight climbing helmet. So again, you can go online and read about the S-Works Evade 2 and the Giro Aether Spherical MIPS, which I'll go into one of the benefits of that specific helmet. But just comparing the two, in the beginning when I first started cycling, aero wasn't king yet, or at least if it was, I didn't get that memo. So it was all about lightweight. I wrote a 14-pound Scott Addict team issue with, shallow wheels, 23 mil tires, latex tubes. Yeah, all right, it was pretty quick, but on the flats, you're definitely working harder than you are now, knowing what, an aero bike and an aero setup feels like. But just to compare the two helmets, so, there's really no comparison, even in the summer, all right, maybe the S-Works 2 will cook your brain a little bit, once you stop moving at a traffic light after you got done, hammering 300-400 watts, in 90-degree weather, because it doesn't, it doesn't vent well. There is definitely a large amount of airflow through the helmet, so when you're riding, you do not feel like it's a hot helmet. As you can see here, it does have, pretty big openings here, especially for the forehead, which is a nice little touch here. The internal channels run straight through, and you can definitely feel when you're riding, when you put your hand on the back of the vent here, that the airflow is pretty strong. You can feel the airflow coming through the helmet. So while you're riding, it definitely is a cool helmet. Don't really feel like it's a hot helmet again until you stop at a light, and the heat is not venting well. But once you get moving again, it's not so bad. Now, the Giro Aether is their top-of-the-line spherical MIPS helmet. So I got this for a specific reason. One is I had a crash in 2019. Went down at about 25 miles an hour on a ride from, it was Boston to Cape Cod. So mile 85-ish, we kind of started heading into the Cape, and, wasn't paying attention enough. The rider in front of me chopped my front wheel, and went down head first and cracked my casque helmet, saved my life, but definitely had a concussion. So one of the things that was important to me is after the crash was to invest in MIPS helmets. So both of these are MIPS. This S-Works Evade 2 has a MIPS liner, which does have, I think, 10 millimeters of movement itself, inside the liner itself. But what makes this helmet unique is it's spherical. So the shell is independent from each other. So that helps the rotational force upon impact in all rotations. So this is a very, very unique helmet. So I definitely don't use it a lot because it's not aero, and the group rides that I'm on, we're moving along pretty good, 24, 25, 26 average on any given day, no problem. You definitely feel the wind buffer on the sides significantly around your ears. You definitely feel that it just feels more resistance, and there's no way to quantify that. It just feels that way. When you got this thing on, you're just slipping through the air. There's really no wind buffer, and you can definitely feel like it's helping. In what capacity? We'll let the engineers decide. But this is a great helmet too. It's not an aero helmet; it's aero-ish. They did design it to have an aero, silhouette in some capacity, if that's what you think this might look like. But it's a very safe helmet. So I use this mostly in crit races, which there might be more risk of potentially going down. You're kind of hiding in the pack more, bunched up, 2, 3, 4 abreast, sometimes even maybe more, depending upon, the course. So I'm not ultra concerned if I'm going to kind of, play a couple games and tactics and kind of sit in a little bit, maybe go for the sprint. This is definitely a fast group ride helmet, breakaway helmet, domestique helmet, and a great all-rounder. It definitely is a hotter helmet, but it's not unbearable. So again, as long as you're moving along, it vents very well. This one here, you stop at a traffic light, the heat's, coming out, it's dissipating, and it doesn't really wear hot at all. It's actually a very, very cool helmet. And again, it's a pretty beautiful helmet. So again, the MIPS Spherical is very unique. If you had a concussion, if you can do anything you can to avoid that, is important. So I definitely invested in one of the top, safety helmets. But my go-to is still always the Evade. Like I said, it noticeably feels faster. Wears very quiet on the head. There's no buffering around the ears. It's pretty relatively light, and this helmet sits around your head more than on top of your head with the Giro Aether. So yeah, just wanted to kind of touch base on my experience with these two. They're great two options to have access to. Like I said, I'll wear the Evade 9 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 rides. And but again, this definitely has its place. If you're going to go on a fondo and there's lots of climbing, it's definitely the helmet you're going to want to wear. You're not going to want to wear this if you're going lower speeds. Again, anything maybe less than 18 miles an hour, 19 miles an hour, you're going to feel the heat in that. In the Evade, the Aether definitely does expel the heat a lot faster. So both of them, absorb and hold sweat pretty well. This one you do have to empty the helmet a little bit more, as the front head pad around the forehead strap does accumulate water. So once in a while you'll get down to a light and squeeze the front and empty it out. But I can definitely feel a lot of guys that I ride with in my group ride are all riding Evades, and we all kind of agree that this is definitely the go-to helmet if you're going for that aero benefit, if you're riding your aero bike in an aero position. So yeah, have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Please like and subscribe, as I'll be doing more real-world feedback on some of my gear, bikes, experiences, and I do have a special bike coming up in the next week or two as far as an unveiling, unboxing, and potentially build video. So stay tuned, and appreciate the view. Thanks, be well.